I thought our defense was really, really good. Obviously, the numbers bear that out. JD's saying that that's the second best defensive effort that we've had. We had 66 deflections on the game. I think that's really, really important. The key for us was the Bell kid, and to hold him scoreless was a really big deal. Starting Victor on him, and Verdell did an excellent job. He had 4 steals in the game. And when you have 4 guys that scored over 20, or had games where they scored 25 or more in the games, last year, well, then you know they've got some high-level scores, and I think they're good. I think that's, again, I think a win like this could really come back and help us down the road, because this is a team that's picked to win their division, and I didn't see anything to make me believe on film that they wouldn't be capable of doing that. They'll be one of the better teams in that league, along with Davidson and Wofford. But very good win, a lot of good basketball from a lot of different guys, 2 halves of consistent defense. We got our running game going. We had some real pick-me-ups, guys coming off the bench, and as we keep trying to tell them, we're not deep unless there's not much drop-off. And again, you don't have depth unless you have consistency. And we have to continue to build in that, but we're playing a lot of guys, and for the most part, they're making it to where they get back in. And I like our energy, I love the maturity, I like the quick turnaround, and we all know that it gets a lot more difficult, which is a vast understatement. It's going to get a lot more difficult to go on Wednesday night, to go up to Evansville and play that team. So, go ahead.
Cody didn't score a lot, but still made an impact defensively. How nice is that to have a freshman do that in his second game?
Well, you know, the steals, he had 13 deflections, so now in 2 games he's got 25 deflections. And just got to continue to move his feet. You know, again, I said this to Austin Etherington just a little bit ago. The guys that make the adjustment at the speed of the game the quickest are the ones that usually have the most success as young players. And Cody's making that adjustment pretty well, and has got to continue to stay low. This was a good game in the sense that they were really aggressive on the backboards. Some rebounds went their way, some they flat out got over us, and others that they gave us that push, that shove, and we weren't down low enough, and that's what happens. That's what this league is all about. I mean, if they called every push in the back, in college basketball, the games would be 3 hours and 15 minutes minimum. So you've got to be able to stay and play and stay low and inside of that, and that's what we want to be able to do. We want to improve while we're winning. And Cody makes an impact in a lot of different ways. I haven't even looked at his offensive numbers. So again, there's just so many things that he can do. And he impacts the game, and in turn it impacts winning.
I know you talked about, it seemed like they were paying a lot of attention to him defensively, and some things were being opened up. Do you feel like guys like Jordy and Vic kind of made use of that space that was?
Well, I think everybody did when we figured it out. When in the first half, when we weren't cutting, you know, I've said this before, and it's so important that they understand it. The ball's got to move, and people have to move. And there were times where we were moving the ball well, but people weren't moving. And our best offense at the end of the first half and the beginning of the second half was the post double. And because Cody looks, he sees, he's escaping out of the post, you know, and that double team stays with him. Now we've got, the next step is to get him cutting back into the action so that we can get him in front of the rim. But he made some great passes, a couple that worked out really well, a couple that didn't, but his looks were fantastic. And again, it's all of us learning how to play in the course of the game, you know, through that action. When the post double comes, there's really just some rules and concepts. It's not like it turns into another play. And so our diving, and there's certain places we want to dive and cut from, depending on where the ball is, and we're just not used to it yet. But that's all part of playing, and we'll be able to teach even more from that.
Tom, you're getting a presence from Victor offensively and defensively. Can you talk about that?
Well, it's his defensive presence that's creating all the offense. He's worked very, very hard on his offensive game. There's no question about that. He's one of the absolute most diligent, hardest workers, time spent in the gym guys I've ever been around in my coaching life as an assistant or a head coach. I mean, there's no question about it. And the greatest thing about the last 2 games is that his level of defense has created that offense. He tied a career high, correct? Yes. And then he got his career high today. Yes. So when you're getting, 37 points in 2 games, and you're guarding the other team's first or second best player pretty much every minute that you're out there, and he's getting to the foul line, that was something that's really important. That was something that he did okay early on, but really needed to do it even more tonight, and he did that. And you see that first step when he plays it right. on a pass, or when he puts that first step and that dribbles out in front of him, he's really hard to contain. And so I don't think he's going to do anything but get better. But again, it starts with his defense.
Coach, you guys got a burst out of Daniel Moore tonight. Talk about what he was able to provide the minute he came into the game.
Well, we went with him early because he's dependable. He is a winner. He's somebody that is going to go in there and try to impact the game in the sense of that he can play up tempo. He can defend a lot of different people. He is not going to try to do things that aren't there. And to me, we feel very comfortable with him. I mean, and this team is really, and he misses some practice because of our practice times. These kids are getting so much older that the classes that they can take, a lot of times there's not as many offered, so he misses. You know, he might be here for 45 minutes in practice on a couple days a week. So maybe he's that much fresher, I don't know. But he leaves, and we've even had one practice where he left, went to class, came back. And he's got to make some adjustments like that. So that's where being a veteran and really going out there and doing what he can do is really, really important. But he can do some good things.
Tom, you mentioned the 66 deflections. I know you chart that pretty closely. I mean, have you had a lot of games where you've had more than that? I mean, where does that rank?
No, and that's the highest we've ever had at Indiana. No question about it. And again, Cody led us with 13, and we had 30 at halftime. So to come back in the second half, that's where the benefits can be right now for this team to really learn is we're putting halves together. We're putting two good halves together defensively. And when we don't do that is when we'll be in for an awakening. And we don't need to, somebody's went off here, this one. We don't need to learn that anytime too soon. So we had 30 at half. Verdell had 10, which is really high for him. Jordan had 8, which is high for him. Victor had 8, which is about where he's at. Cody had 13. So Cody has 25 deflections in 2 games. And just great short space quickness and great anticipation skills.
Is Christian just struggling to find his place in the offense?
I don't think that has anything to do with it. I think we got a lot of guys making plays, and a couple shots haven't gone down, and he's playing hard, and we're 2 games in, so I'm not looking at anybody that might be not doing this or any of those kind of things. It's a team game, and guys work hard, and Christian works hard. He was in the gym with Victor again. They were the last 2 to leave last night, well after our meeting, and I have no concerns about any of that. Excellent. We needed him to. We wanted him to be more aggressive looking for his shot because there were numerous times the other night he passed shots up. And he just opens the game up so much when he's doing that. And we had a meeting this morning about, as coaches, should we add this, should we add that? And really, it really came back down to he's just got to be more aggressive looking for the shot. And again, he's a direct result. So many times last year, he didn't get as many open shots because there wasn't as much penetration. And there were always guys that you didn't have to guard in the lineup. Well, then now you have to guard pretty much everybody that's out there. And in the case of Cody in the post, third game in a row, we've been doubled in the post. So that's going to free things up with ball movement. So him being aggressive is really, really key for us.
Coach, you talked about how you have to guard everyone in the lineup. How valuable is that depth, and how improved is it this year?
Well, it's improved, but it's early. It has an opportunity. Again, consistency does not come from 2 games. We've been consistent for 2 games, but it's got to be done more over the long haul.
Well, Todd still scores 24, but there was kind of the middle stretch where he didn't get anything going. It looked like that was when you guys, really took the big lead. I guess just what did you guys do just to slow him down for that period?
Less help defense, for one thing, and very, very quick shooter. Great preparation. There's a reason he was in the Big East, and really quick release. But we put Victor on him, and I think that helped. And Danny guarded him really well in the first half, really well. So a lot of times you can have a game plan. What we felt best on Monday or on Friday night is that maybe being small and getting up into number 10 was going to be the way to go. Well, when we got into the game, the length is what did it for us. And it was the same thing a little bit with number 3 today with Bell, that the length is what we felt was our advantage. And well, you think it's going to be the same thing with Wadad, and really it ended up being the guy that got it going was Moore. And he just got up and got under him, and we had less help. So I think those kind of things, and he still made some really good shots. He's a good player, and but it was less help, more awareness, and we had a game plan for a couple of certain things we wanted to do on some of their actions, And when you got a team that's maturing, you can make those adjustments inside of the game plan. And we stopped doing it, which allowed us to put more attention on him.
Tom, you were out rebounded by 9. Is that a concern?
I watched the film. Yeah, it's like I said earlier, we got to do a better job of being low. And Tim Buckley always says, carve out space. To me, it's hit first. Just get in and put your body on them first. But again, some of it is awareness. We were better at it the other night, but they were more aggressive tonight. They had a lot of guys that's why they win. They've got a lot of mid-sized guys that can give you a lot of problems. And so obviously that's an area that we've got to get better at. But we will.
Time for one more.
I know the attention to defense, and I know it looked like you had a little bit of a teaching point with Will Sheehy, who made a foul that probably wasn't what you wanted. From that standpoint, the little things matter. How key is that?
No question. And again, you want to try to teach during the game. But when he ran into the shoe, that's not what we do. I mean, we wouldn't do that anyways. But we have a technique, for when we're late and a guy's in a rhythm shot. And if we don't follow that technique, things like that happen. And that was just a lack of awareness. A little bit of it in the second half was that come on, you guys know, they haven't played with leads like this. And they don't know how to do that all the time yet. And we certainly want to try to get used to it. But you don't want to take your foot off the throttle. But at the same time, it's not the lack of awareness on the offensive end that hurts you in that. It's the lack of awareness on the defensive end. With that being said, we had a really good defensive game. But it's not a perfect game, and there's a lot of things that we can learn from this. And when we grade it out, those things will come up. And we've got a short time now again with the game Wednesday and then turning around Saturday again for them to pick some of those things up. But that was just a technique mistake.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right, thank you.
Thanks.